As commander of the Death Star, Grand Moff Tarkin was in control of the most powerful weapon in the galaxy, thus in turn making him one of the galaxy's most powerful figures. In his hands, he had the power to decimate an entire planet, and with it, the power to force a population to follow the Empire's commands. But if Tarkin had this power at his fingertips, one has to wonder if the Grand Moff ever thought about turning the destructive power of the Death Star upon Coruscant, and used the battle station to overthrow Emperor Palpatine to make himself the Emperor of the galaxy. In this video expose, I will explain why Tarkin didn't use the Death Star to overthrow Palpatine and attempt to seize control of the Empire. First, it's necessary to point out that Tarkin saw the value of the Death Star in being able to accomplish a goal that was the defining principle of his own life, and which had been sought throughout the millennia of galactic history: to bring peace and order to the entire galaxy. The Death Star wasn't pushed by Tarkin to achieve his own ends, but rather to be the physical expression that underpinned his philosophy for peace and order, the Tarkin Doctrine. The cornerstone of the Tarkin Doctrine was its third of three pillars, the rule of fear. For Tarkin, the research and development of superweapons such as the Death Star would work to stifle dissent and rebellion before it even began. And by the time the battle station became fully operational, this goal became even more important. Tarkin understood the rebellion had risen to become dangerous. It was capable not only of fighting various Imperial stormtroopers, but also engaging in conventional naval warfare. This meant the Empire's military superiority in equipment, training, and sheer numbers wouldn't be enough to subdue the rebellion. Therefore, the Death Star would finally allow Tarkin to achieve what he had longed hoped for through the Tarkin Doctrine: the end to rebellion and the establishment of true galactic order. He wouldn't risk this achievement by pursuing his own ends to use the Death Star to overthrow Palpatine. In fact, Tarkin was a man with such a strong sense of duty, it was long recognized that he was willing to make his own personal life and desires secondary to his professional assignments. Tarkin's duty to establish peace and order was paramount, and clearly overruled any desire he had to take power for himself, even if he did have command of the superweapon. But not only that, Tarkin was clearly someone who valued loyalty, and in this regard, Tarkin was unshakably loyal to Palpatine. Although most of the information in this video deals with Legends material for Tarkin, particularly from the now Legends novel Death Star by Michael Reeves and Steve Perry, Tarkin's loyalty to Palpatine has been well established within the current canon material as well. For example, Palpatine tested Tarkin's loyalty long before he became commander of the Death Star, even long before he became Grand Moff and the formation of the Empire itself. Demonstrating Tarkin's loyalty when Dooku attempted to bring him on the side of the Separatists prior to the Clone War by offering him economic privileges, and noting that Palpatine wouldn't offer him a better deal, Tarkin told Dooku, "The Supreme Chancellor is not required to bribe me into remaining loyal to him." Ultimately, Tarkin would stay loyal to Palpatine throughout the Clone War. Therefore, it was clearly recognized by Palpatine that Tarkin was deeply committed to peace and order and loyal to him. Otherwise, the Dark Lord wouldn't have placed him in command of the Death Star. Given all of Palpatine's foresight and planning, it wouldn't make sense for him to put someone else in control of the battle station who would simply turn it against him when given the chance. Thus, Tarkin was the perfect man for the job. But for all his duty to peace and order and his loyalty to Palpatine, Tarkin was clearly not a stupid man. He knew the power the Death Star placed in his hands and how invulnerable it seemed. However, there were warnings in the back of his head that ensured he never attempted to seize power or overthrow Palpatine with the superweapon. These warnings were borne out by the fact that he knew the Emperor, and if he was in Palpatine's position, Tarkin would never give anyone the power to command the Death Star without some kind of failsafe in existence. For this reason, Tarkin feared that if he did turn the battle station against the Emperor, Palpatine was in possession of a self-destruct device that was safely installed in his private chambers, and which would quickly put an end to any nefarious plots involving the Death Star. Further, Tarkin knew full well of Palpatine's failsafe for the Jedi with Order 66. Thus, Tarkin couldn't help but believe that the Emperor created an equivalent of Order 66 that was known to only certain trusted officers and troopers on the Death Star, who would quickly put an end to Tarkin and any plot against the Empire. Therefore, Tarkin recognized that even if he was a foolish or suicidal man, he was certain that the Emperor had any of a potential number of insurance mechanisms in place to deal with the rebellious commander of the Death Star. So there we have it, why Tarkin didn't use the Death Star to target Coruscant and overthrow Palpatine. We love making these videos, so why not subscribe for more fun Star Wars theories and discussions? Also, if you enjoyed the video, think about giving a like or leaving a comment. Or perhaps follow us on Twitter at SW Reading Club for updates regarding the channel. Or support the channel through Patreon for access to exclusive rewards and discussions. If not for me... for invulnerabilities.